Perfect. So yes, Adobe Express is the focus of today's workshop. The way this workshop will be structured, for the first 45 minutes or so, I'm going to be giving you all a tour and an overview of the tool. You are welcome to follow along on your own screen. I will cover logging into Express right at the beginning, so you're welcome to follow through step by step with that, or you can just sit back and watch and enjoy. After we get an intro to the tool, I'm going to talk a bit about how to implement CMU branding, because for many of us, we might be interested in using this tool for our jobs or in some way, related to our capacity here at CMU. So that's a very useful thing most people enjoy. So I'll be talking about importing CMU branding into your Express account, and how, some basic design tips and also additional resources if you're going to be using the CMU brand. And then the last 30 minutes of the workshop will be kind of an open question and open work time. I can cover additional features I didn't get the chance to talk about if you're interested in them. I also have like a mini design challenge that I'll probably have us do. So if you're looking for like a hands-on way to engage with the tool today, you can look forward to that. The workshops that I offer are pretty casual, so you're welcome to ask questions at any time. You can throw questions in the chat or feel free to interrupt me. If a feature isn't working for you, if you're having trouble finding something, let me know and I'll see if I can problem solve it in the moment. Since Express is a web program, sometimes the browser that you choose to use can impact the user experience. So it is designed to work with all browsers. However, I usually recommend Google Chrome. That's the one I tend to have the best experience with. I do use Safari quite often as well, and Firefox. So all three of those I have used with it fine. But if you start to notice your program glitching, if things aren't working the way they're supposed to, I would suggest refreshing your browser first and see if that fixes it. And then if that doesn't fix it, consider moving to a different browser, for example, Chrome. And often I find that resolves issues. But again, feel free to let me know if you're having trouble. So I will go ahead and share my screen so we can go through logging into the program. So you should all be seeing a Google screen for me, and I'm actually in Firefox right now. So hopefully that works. I see a thumbs up. Thank you. And I'm going to pull up my outline and move it over here. Okay. So open up whatever browser you would like. And again, Express is fully online. You don't have to download anything onto your computer. So up in the browser bar, you're going to go to express.adobe.com. I prefer to type in this URL instead of Googling Express, because sometimes when you Google Express, the results list will give you like advertisements for Express, or it can sometimes take you to weird web pages. So I recommend typing in this URL each time. If you've logged into Express before, it very well might take you straight into the program. If you have not logged in before, you will most likely see a screen that looks like this that says to sign in. If you see a generic Adobe screen, a different screen than this, like Advertising Express, look in the top right corner for a button that says sign in and click sign in. And what we're going to do is continue with email. So in order to log in with your CMU access, select continue with email, and we're going to put in our CMU credentials. And in order for this to be paired with your CMU account, you needed to have requested your Adobe access through CMU. The link to do that was in the meeting invitation, but I will put it in the chat as well in case you didn't get a chance to do that. So by requesting your Adobe access through CMU, it syncs up your CMU email with the Adobe programs. All right, sign in. It will often take us to CMU's webpage to authenticate. We'll see if it does that for me. Okay, it took me right into Express. If this is your first time signing in, it might take you to CMU's authentication screen and you have to put in your CMU credentials. But then after you've done that, it should take you into Express. You'll see your name at the top. Mine says, welcome, Katie, and to get started. As long as you see this screen, you are in. This is Express. So again, fully online. What's really wonderful about this is it doesn't matter what computer you have or where you are, as long as you have a computer and internet access, you can use this tool. So unlike Photoshop or Illustrator, where you might have to download the program on your computer and use that computer, any computer in the world, as long as you have the internet, you can use this program.
Katie, I have an error has occurred. We could not log
Okay.
into your company account.
Okay. Did you request the access through CMU?
I think so because I have, if I'm in the Creative Cloud desktop, like I
Mhm.
have, it says has my name and my CMIsh email, and it says verified.
Okay. Do you know when you requested it?
Mm-mm,
Is it a long time ago?
maybe.
So the Adobe Access used to be automatic, and then last fall the system changed and you have to request it. I don't know if that is what is causing the error. What browser are you using?
Chrome.
Okay. Um, my suggestion would be try another browser or just try again and see if it changes it. If you still get the error, I would use the link I posted in the chat and request the license just to make sure that that is updated. I see someone else posted in the chat they had to re-request. If you are having to request the access today, OIT are the ones who provide the access, and they can sometimes take up to an hour for them to approve it, but it will always be like within the hour of when you requested it. So if that's the case, you might have to just watch today. But again, this is recorded, so you could always follow along later. And if anyone else is having login issues as well, feel free to let me know if you're seeing something different. All right. So here we are in Express. I'm going to give you guys a little tour, first of all, of our homepage. So right away, you can see a variety of the different things you could create here in Express. Express is a design tool, and it is built to allow you to design many, many different things. So I can see right away, I could design a presentation, I could make a logo, I can do flyers. I have all sorts of social media posts I could choose to design from. They have helpful sections in this top header here that sort the different projects you could make. So if you know you're doing something for social media, you could go into that section to see a full list. Underneath the suggested projects, we have a section on Express's generative AI abilities. Adobe is actively working to incorporate their AI tool Firefly into their programs, and Express has some different fun things you can do. If we have time at the end, I can demonstrate a few of those. If we keep scrolling, there are some quick actions. So along with the different items you can design in Express, the tool is also built to allow you to maybe quickly complete tasks that you used to have to do in a different program, but they want to make easier for you. So we have some different quick actions here, like removing backgrounds from images, resizing or editing images, converting items to or from JPEGs or PDF or SVG. You can generate QR codes. So there are a whole variety of these quick actions you could take advantage of while you're here in Express as well. Lots of other things, they tend to advertise some of their design templates you can work from. They often populate with seasonal things. So if there's any sort of holiday or event, or if it's depending on the time of year, they'll kind of show you different designs. So of course, we're coming up on World Environmental Day, so they have quite a few of those here, even some graduation things. So lots right on the homepage that you could choose to begin exploring. Before we get into actually creating an item, though, there are a few more features I'd like to show you right here on the homepage. So over on the left, what I want to draw your attention to is this little folder called Your Stuff. Right now we're on the homepage. And one of the things Express is wonderful for is auto saving. So because it is a web tool, an online tool, it is constantly saving whatever you're doing. Unlike Photoshop or Illustrator, where if the program crashes, you're going to have a mini panic attack. Did I just lose the item I've been working on for the last hour? Express is always auto saving in the background. So any project you ever start, it is going to be saved no matter how far you've edited it. I've never lost something in Express, knock on wood. Hopefully that'll never happen, but I've been using it for 2.5 years now, and I've never had a problem, even if my internet crashes or something weird happens. So if you've ever started any project in Express at all, it will always be auto-saved into the Your Stuff folder. You'll also see recent projects pop up at the bottom of the screen. So you guys can see I have some recent items here. If it's your first time in the program, there probably won't be anything there. But in the Your Stuff folder is where everything saves. So I have a long list of items. I'm doing demos and workshops like this all the time, so I have lots of little half-finished files in here. And you can see even projects that I didn't give a name to, it still saves everything. It will save it as untitled with that day's date. I even have items in here that are blank, like I didn't add any edits or any content whatsoever, and it still saves it. So if you're ever looking for something, go into the Your Stuff folder. To further organize your content, you can also choose to create folders to organize your work. So if you have different projects or maybe a class where you're designing some items for, you could make a folder and then save all of those items in it. And that way you don't have this long block of projects like I do. I see someone put in the chat about Express working as video editing software. That it does have some video editing capabilities, and I believe it's a part of Express Adobe is working to build into more. So they have some basic video editing in it right now, and I think it's something they're looking to continue building and making more useful. The other video editing programs through Adobe are Adobe Premiere Pro, which is kind of the major video editing software, and then Adobe Rush, which is like the beginner version of video editing. So if you're interested in video editing, you might want to check those out. I'll put the names in here. Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Rush. Yeah, there's some limited video editing you could do in Express. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for video editing, but again, I think they're building that up. So we'll see how that changes. Okay, we talked about the Your Stuff folder. There are a few more windows in here. I'm not going to cover those all right now. We might have time later. So let's talk about starting a project. Now, of course, you could select any of the items you see here on the home screen in order to get started. But you can also see a full long list of everything Express has to offer by clicking on the purple plus circle in the top left of your screen on the home page. This is the Create menu. And again, you'll have suggested items here, but you'll notice there's a little View All option. And with the View All, you can see the full list of everything Express has to offer. Again, organized into categories. So number one here, we have all the different social media platforms you could design for. And then you'll notice when you hover over it, it tells you all those individual items you could design. There are lots of categories in here. There's a business category, an education category. There's all sorts of fun things. I mean, you can design calendars, checklists. You can design book covers, vinyl album covers, all sorts of fun things. I think I saw like a wine or bottle label option in here once. So this can be a fun list to explore. The reason Express allows you to choose a project like this is because, as you know, perhaps if you've created anything for social media before, different social media programs use different dimensions for their content. So if you're designing something for Instagram, it's going to be a square post versus if you're posting something as a Facebook um, story or maybe like a Facebook profile cover. All of those different items have different dimensions. So when you choose, for example, Instagram Square Post here in Express, it's going to pull up an item that already has those dimensions set for you, making your life easier because you don't have to worry about, did I size this correctly for the platform I want? So when you hover over those items, you can see it lists those custom dimensions there. And if you know the size that you want, you also can use the custom size option and put in your own dimensions. You know, maybe I know I want to design a 4x5 postcard, so I can choose my dimensions, change this to inches, and I can put in 4x5 and then create that file exactly the size I want. So again, that is all in the purple plus sign that lives in the Create menu there, as well as a full list of the quick actions, all the different quick things you could use Express for, also located under the purple plus. So let's actually look at designing something here in Express. So I've been talking about Instagram, so I'll go ahead and say I want to make an Instagram square post. So if you'd like to follow along, open up the purple plus sign, find Instagram square post, or you could select it from your home screen. And after you select the item you want to create, it is going to take you into the Express workspace. So previously we were on the home page. We are now in the workspace. This is where we build and design items. And 99% of the items you create in Express will be created in this workspace. The one item that gets created in a different workspace are web pages. And if there's time interest at the end, I can show that feature off as well. But everything else, flyers, infographics, presentations, social media, it all gets created in the workspace you're seeing now. You'll see a blank canvas in the center of the page with those dimensions for whatever item it is you're creating. We have the black header at the top. There are some overarching features in here. This is where you can name your document. So you can click into that to give it a new name if you'd like. It's going to save no matter what. We have some options here to invite other collaborators to work on the item with us. And when we're done with our design, we would use the download or share button to export that design out of Express. We have below the black bar some additional editing options here that I'll be demonstrating in a moment. One of the more useful items is this view option towards the right side. That will allow you to zoom in and out of your design and adjust how large it appears on your screen. We can add additional pages using the Add button, and you can choose whether you want the new page to be the same size, a duplicate of what you've already created, or a different size. So that is the top menu bar here. And then over on the left, you see a variety of menu options here. And it's these menu items that we're going to be using to add and begin building our design. The most important ones are media, text, and elements. So those are the three right in the middle. And that's each of those windows is where you can begin searching for and adding and building the different items that are going to create our design. So let's very quickly look at how we can add some items. The media section is where you can add photos, videos, or audio. So again, limited video capabilities, but you could use this to create a video if you wanted to. I use it the most often for photos. And from here, now that we have the media window open, at the very top, you'll notice the bright blue button is to upload photos from your own device. So if you have some photos ready to go, you can click on that button, find them on your computer, upload them right into the program. But a lot of the times, we might not have photos for whatever it is we're going to design. And what's really wonderful about Express is that you'll notice in this window, as I scroll, there are a lot of photos showing here. And that is because Express is powered by Adobe Stock. Adobe Stock is a feature, it's part of Adobe's Creative Suite. And Adobe Stock is millions upon millions of high quality, high resolution, professional, beautiful, dynamic images. And often designers and creators pay big money to subscribe to Adobe Stock and have access to all those photos. Adobe Express is powered by Adobe Stock. So they have those millions upon millions of photos. Maybe not all of them, but literally millions of them they have here in the program for us to use freely as we desire. So I can search if there was a certain image I'm looking for, I could search to find that. For example, maybe I want to create an Instagram post advertising one of my Adobe workshops. So I might want a photo of maybe students working together. I'm just going to try that and see what I get. So I've got over 744,000 results, yay, of photos that I can choose from and could upload into my design. You will notice some of these photos have this little crown over them, and that means they are premium images. Our CMU account with Adobe gives us access to all the premium content in Express. So if it has the crown, you can still use it. There is a free version of Express. So if you, for example, if you're a student, you graduate from CMU, or if you get a new job, if you're not here anymore, you could make a free account with Express, and then you wouldn't have access to premium unless you paid for it. But you can see there's still a lot of images in here that don't have that crown on them. So still thousands of options, but here at CMU, you have access to everything. And I think I'm going to try out an image I like the look of here. So you can click on any image, it will automatically put it in your workspace for you. And you can easily move around that image by clicking and dragging. I can resize it using any of the circles on the corners. And I can also crop that image as much as I would like using the sliders on the side. So it's very easy to edit and manipulate. And again, these are very high resolution, high quality images. So I can blow this up really almost as large as I want, and it's still going to look very nice, high quality, not pixelated. So if you need even just a source to use for images, Express is a wonderful tool for that. But I'm going to size this down to fit my box here. So if I wanted to create a post that had a nice visual, I have lots of images to choose from. Now that I've selected an image here and I clicked on it, it's highlighted on my workspace. You might have noticed that your menu changed. So now instead of that media menu where I could select photos, with my image highlighted here, the image edit menu pops up. So with this menu open, I can do a variety of things. I could, crop the image using the crop tool. I can put some effects or color adjustments on that image if I'd like to. For example, maybe I want to change it to grayscale or give it a tint. There are some fun color options in here if I want something a lot more vibrant. So some different photo editing abilities. You can add animations to items. So if you're creating something that you want to export as like an MP4 so that it's animated, you could do that. I'm going to go up to the top and hit undo because I want to get rid of this color effect I just put on it. So we can undo and redo any actions by hitting the arrows in the top black bar. Here's my original photo again. Now that I have the photo in here, I don't think this is a good fit for my social media post because it's taking up a little too much room on my post here. So I'm going to hit this little button over here in the image edit menu to replace the photo. And when I hit replace, it's going to take me back to the photo menu with whatever I searched last. And now I could either choose a different photo from this list, or maybe I want to go in a completely different direction and do a new search. Maybe I just want a photo of one single college student to put on my post. So I've searched college student. Now I have over 5 million results. So again, lots of photo options here. Of course, we have many CMU photos available as well that you might want to use. But for the demonstration's sake, maybe I like the coloring of this photo here. And what you will notice that Express did is, since I used the replace feature, the new photo that I selected, it automatically put it in the same spot on my post and applied the same crop and size to it so that the new image fits in exactly how that old image was placed. This is very useful if you've spent some time building a design and have edited it a little bit and then realize you need to change the photo. If you use this replace button, it will save, as far as I know, all the edits that you've put on it and just replace it with whatever the new image is. So very, very useful to use this replace button versus, like deleting the photo and starting over from scratch. Another feature I want to bring your attention to is, let's put that photo back in here, the remove background button. So I have an image here in my workspace. As long as the image is selected, I have the image edit menu up. And this remove background button is super useful. And it's one of the things I use Express for a lot because of how handy it is. Traditionally, if you wanted to remove the background of a photo, that was something you would use Photoshop for. And Photoshop has come a long way. They're always kind of optimizing that tool. So now in Photoshop, you could probably remove the background from a photo pretty quickly, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how complicated it was. But that would require you to learn how to use Photoshop. You might have to look up how to use the tool, where that button is. Here in Express, You put your photo in, have it highlighted, go over here to the menu, hit remove background. Let's see how long it takes. That took about 5 seconds. So it's super quick. It did a lovely job. I can zoom in on the edges here and see how well it did cutting out the background. And that wasn't a solid color background either. There were different things going on. So this feature is super useful. It works really well if you have a headshot of yourself you want to remove the background on, or if there's any other sort of photo you just want to quickly remove the background with. Anthony, I see your question in the chat, and I'm not sure if I know what, oh, when you mean remove background, it's transparent. Correct. It won't
Yes.
hide text behind it. Is that what you were asking?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, yeah. So that's what's so wonderful, because before, if I was building this social media post, all of this background is blocking like the majority of my content here. So removing the background, super useful. Now I have all this white space, and yeah, it's transparent. Great question. Now you might have noticed this student was wearing a backpack, and the remove background actually took out the backpack too.
Oh, I didn't know.
And I might have wanted the background, the backpack to stay there. So we actually can edit this further. I've removed the background, and now what I'm going to do is go into this button here to erase. And when you go into erase, it's actually two features in one, because you can choose to erase more of the image, or you'll notice I can switch over to restore. And I can actually go back into the image and pull back in things that it took out that I want. You can choose your brush. Quick selection means Express will automatically select parts of the background. I'm going to change it to the circle brush because I want to actually go in and paint in myself what I want to restore to the image. You can set your brush size here and whether you want it to have a hard or a soft edge or to be opaque or not. And let me make the brush a little smaller. And I'm gonna just drag over here of the backpack that it removed. And you guys can see that it is, I think that's a backpack. Actually, maybe it's just flowers in the background, but we'll pretend it's a backpack. You can paint back in any part of the image that you want. And when you're done, hit done. And there's the edited photo. So even though it automatically removes the background for you, again, you have some additional editing capabilities. So super useful and kind of like a quick and user-friendly version of Photoshop. Last bit I want to show you here. I'm gonna undo that and undo my remove background. So just something else useful that a lot of people enjoy, along with just cropping the image, to a smaller version of the square or rectangle. Using the crop button in the image edit menu is super useful because you'll notice it says it allows you to also crop an item to a shape. So if I open up the crop section, I can turn that photo into a circle, into an oval. There are all sorts of fun shapes in here. And you choose the shape you want and then position the photo where you want it inside the shape. And hit enter. And here's our cropped photo. So again, just a quick way to make your designs look a little more professional, a little more dynamic or visually exciting, because you can really quickly have some cool features like a nice circle photo or any other sort of shape you want. Okay, I've been talking a lot about media, so let's move on. I've got a nice photo in here of a student, and now I'm ready to add some text. So we are going to go one down into the text menu. And very similar to the photo menu, you can choose to add your own custom text. When you click on that blue button, it will give you a text box right on your screen. Again, we can click and drag and resize this as needed, scale it. And you can just click right inside of it to change, add whatever words you want. And with our text highlighted, you get this lovely text edit menu now that has all of the standard text editing capabilities you would, generally look for. We have hundreds upon hundreds of Adobe fonts to choose from. You can control font size, make it bulleted, numbered. There are also these nice text layout options that allow you to quickly add some more highly designed text. So for example, I can turn my text into a circle. I can arch it. So maybe if I wanted to play around with the text and the photo here, I could do something fun with those together. You control the color in the text edit menu here. So you control the fill, you click onto the color in order to change it. You might have some swatches automatically, but if you go into the custom section, you can choose your own color. You can put in a hex code. I'm going to tell you guys all about how to use CMU colors in a little bit. But if you wanted to just pick your own color, you could do that here. You can also use the eyedropper to pull from a color elsewhere on your design. So maybe I want this text to match the teal in the student's shirt. I'll click on the eyedropper and I can go find the color that I want, and it will change the text to that color. You can choose an outline for your text if you would like. If you want to take the outline off, go into the swatches section and hit the white box with the red line. That will take it off for you. So again, lots of standard options here that you can explore. We have some additional text effects, shadows. You could add a shape to your text, for example. Let me reposition this a little bit. I want to make this a little larger. So if I go down into the shape section, I can add like a little banner or shape around the text. So just some fun options. Sometimes you don't have as full customization as you might want. So just keep in mind that is kind of a barrier of using this as a tool. For example, I can't select this flowery border and resize it or anything. So if the customization you want isn't working in Express, it might be time to move on to a more advanced tool, such as Illustrator or Photoshop. But those can be fun to explore if you just want to see what's possible here in the program. Some fun things in here. All right, let's see here. I'm going to take this shape off. And change my font. Now from here, I could choose to go back to the text menu and continue adding lines of text. You can also, when you have any bit of text highlighted, you can use this little duplicate button at the top of the text edit menu to quickly create a new line that's an exact copy, and you could choose to edit that. That works really well if you want to keep most of the design the same, but maybe just change the size or the color or something like that. So again, just some of those quick little tricks that make designing faster. question in the chat about undoing. So you can use Control Z on your keyboard to undo. You can also use the undo button here in the program. There is not as far as I know, there isn't like a history option to go back and see older versions of your design, like in Photoshop or Illustrator. So you do tend to have to undo action by action. That can be a little clunky. Yeah, no problem. Great question. Okay, got some text in here. All right, I'm just gonna, for the sake of my little design here, quickly add some more text. So you can see how easy it is to kind of use the different windows, add the elements that you want to quickly build a design and have it all kind of come together. Just want to get some more content in here. And we can click and drag on things. Basically, we're building like a little collage of different items that are all going to work together for our design. Let's add a little bit more now. We've got text, we've got some images in here, but maybe I want to add a little bit more pizzazz to this design. And so the final step for me often is to go into that final menu I mentioned, Elements. We're going to click into Elements, and there are all sorts of fun little graphic design elements and shapes and visuals that we can use to heighten and add to our designs. So in the Elements section, you will notice there are some different tabs at the top. You can explore design assets, which are high color, high res graphic design elements. There's lots of cool things in here. You could add things like, some of these fun pre-designed shapes. You could add frames. You can search anything you want in here. So for example, maybe I want to add like a little graphic of a backpack. So I'm going to search backpack. And here are some fun options. Maybe I want to throw a little element in here. Again, you could make this as big or as small as you want. You can rotate by hitting the little blue circle arrow underneath the item. So maybe I just want to play around with this, have like a little graphic with my text here. Those are the design assets. We also have backgrounds. These are pre-designed colorful graphic backgrounds. I still have the backpack on my search, so I'm going to get rid of that. And you can see like all sorts of options in here. I'll just show you what one of these looks like. So when you click on a background, it will automatically import it into your design. And you will notice it's going to be the backmost layer. So you can't put anything else behind it. It's just automatically going to create that background. I don't think any of these would work super well with what I've designed so far, but of course, you could always start with a background and then build on top of it. Lots of different things you could do, but these can be a lot of fun. I'm going to get rid of that background now by selecting it and hitting delete on my keyboard. You can add shapes. So maybe I want to add a shape behind my text, and you can do that within the text edit menu, but you can also get more control over a shape by going into the elements section, picking out a shape yourself, and that will allow you to size it and place it exactly how you'd like. So maybe I will just do, I'll just do a rectangle. I can drag this up, and maybe I want this interacting behind my title text. Now, I have a problem right now because I have the shape in my design and I want it to show up behind my text, right? So there are a couple different ways we can fix that. If you right-click the shape, you have an option here to send it backwards or send it to the back. So that allows you to adjust how it shows up on the image. So in that way, now I've layered it the way I wanted it to. I sent it behind the text. But there's another quick way to do that. I have my shape here, and some of you might have noticed as we've been designing, as you've been building, that we have this little menu that's been growing over here on the right side of our screen. So what this menu is, it's a layers menu. If you've ever used Photoshop or Illustrator before, you might be familiar with layers. What it represents is every single individual item that's currently on our design. So every time you add something new, a new box appears in this list representing that item. You could see there's a box for the little backpack. There's a box for the photo, for my text. So this is really useful if you're ever trying to select a specific item in your design. For example, maybe I want the, whoa, one second. Maybe I want the backpack to be really large. And then now when I try to like select my photo, it's accidentally clicking on the backpack. Like sometimes they get in the way of each other. A quick way to select an item is to find it in this menu. For example, I want to click on my photo. So I can go click on it down here and it will automatically select that item. So it's very useful for selecting. And the other thing that it is useful for is controlling the order of objects on our design. So right now, this list is arranged, whatever items are on top show on top of the design, and whatever items on the bottom show on the bottom. So right now, this shape to go behind my text is on top of my title. And I can actually click and drag this and pull it down the list and automatically reorder things that way. So super useful for rearranging and controlling how those items are interacting with another is to use this menu. Maybe I want the photo like up on the title a little bit, but I want the student on top of the title. So I'll take the photo, pull it up, and now it's on top of that teal rectangle. So again, just kind of a quick tip, take advantage of this menu. There are some useful things you can do with it to control your overall design. Okay, running close to the time I said I was going to be done with the demo. So let me just quickly show you in Elements, we looked at the design assets, we looked at backgrounds, we looked at shapes. There's also a section for icons. These are similar to the design assets, but they are minimalistic, logo-esque icons that are also single color. So let me search a backpack in the icon section and see. So this, it just depends on kind of the feel that you want your design to have, whether you would use one of these or use one of the design assets, but you can get similar results. The nice thing with the icon is that you can control the color completely. It is a single color item, but I can choose to change the color of this versus the design assets. So that pink backpack I put in here before. The design assets, it's a bit harder to control the color of those. So if you want an exact color, the icon might be a better choice. So you have options in here. You can choose, and maybe you don't want to add any of these little design elements at all, but they can be a fun way to just add some further personality or fun to a design. One of my favorites is the brush strokes. So you might have noticed there were these brush strokes options here. And again, just like the photos, just like the text, everything in Express is super high resolution and high quality. So I could put this brush stroke in here and blow it up like really, really big and have it kind of interacting in the background of my design. Maybe I want to put it behind the photo. So I'm going to have it really large. And then over here in my menu, I'm going to drag it down. I might need to edit my text a little bit to make it more readable. But just like that, you can use these design assets in really creative ways, and it can be a fun way to just create something that has some cool things going on. Okay, there are many menu options in here that I didn't necessarily go into. So just a quick tour of what's left. Again, I showed you the media section, which is where you can add photos, videos, audio clips. We looked at the text section, and we looked at elements. But there are a variety of other features in here. The grid option is very helpful if you're maybe creating a photo collage or creating something that you want to be automatically split into like different sections. You might find the grid menu useful. The brands option I'm going to talk about in a little bit as far as implementing the CMU brands, so hang tight before I talk about this feature. The add-ons in the bottom, I have not explored these too much, but Adobe has tried to partner with many other different programs and tools to kind of bring some additional capabilities into Express. If you're interested in exploring the add-ons, feel free. However, some of these require you to make an account, like with whatever that tool is. Like for example, if I tried to use this artboard mockup or MailerLite, it might tell me that I need to go create an account with them. Sometimes they cost money. So just be aware that that is what is in the add-on section. Again, I haven't explored this too much. You know, maybe you want to connect it to your Google Photos account. There's some interesting things in here. Back to the top, these three menu options at the top are very useful. The first one I want to talk about is templates. Now, we just built a design from scratch, and that was quite fun. However, it did take some time, and this design is definitely not perfect. I'm going to have to go in here and continue editing, make sure that my text is viewable, high contrast with the background. You know, there's still work left to be done. If you are in a rush, or if you don't have a design background and this process is overwhelming to you, you might really appreciate this templates menu in Express. And this is kind of part of the power of Express and why I love it as a tool, is because for any item you're creating, whether it's an Instagram post, a resume, a flyer, in the template section, you will see hundreds, sometimes thousands of pre-designed options for whatever the item is that you're creating. So for example, since this is an Instagram post, I'm seeing a bunch of pre-designed templates of social media posts. And if I see one that I like, I can select it. It's asking me if I want to start a new project or add it as a page onto my current design. For now, I'm just going to add it as a page. So now I have a 2-page document here. I can hit this little arrow. Here's my design. Here's the template. It loaded the template into my workspace, and now you'll notice I can hover over any item in here and click into it to edit it. And if I wanted, I could take this design and just quickly change out my event information, right? I might need to click and drag things a little bit to get it the way I want it. but I can very easily save some time from having to create that entire post from scratch and take something that I like the look of and design within it. So these templates are super, super useful. I will often use them just as a starting point because I don't know about you guys, but I don't love designing from like a blank white screen. I can do it, but often a lot of my posts end up looking the same, like my designs kind of follow the same structure or routine. So the templates can be really, really lovely to kind of just get some fun ideas of how you could mix up your design style a little bit, get some cool ideas on how to like layer images with text and backgrounds. So you can discover all sorts of cool things by using the templates. And again, everything's completely editable. So you could completely, change this around if you needed to, for whatever it is that you want to do. You can change colors. So very, very useful. I definitely recommend checking out those templates. And I started from scratch today for our demo, but you could choose one of these right off the bat and just start remixing it for yourself very easily. They can be a lot of fun to work with. So just in a few clicks, maybe I'd take out this logo, put in the CMU logo, but you can really, really easily recreate something for whatever event it is that you are designing. Sometimes if you're using a template, there will be interesting like design features or things added to it. So you might have to click around a little bit to figure out how to edit it. For example, this text here, I was going to try to change the color. And you'll notice it still has this gold background, which I don't really want. And I am noticing here in the edit menu, if I scroll and kind of look at what's happening in here, I can see there's an active shape on it. So if I go in there, now I can see this is a shape that's been added. So that's where I can change the color if I need to. These colors do not look good together at all, but we'll pretend that it all goes together the way I want it. So those are templates. Let's talk about saving, because I see a question in the chat. So let's say our design is done, right? I'll go back to my initial social media post. We are ready to go. So I mentioned this top black header bar at the beginning of our tour of the workspace here. So you have some options here. If you are ready to export your design out of Express, you are going to want to go into the download section. I guess actually the question in the chat is about saving. So as I mentioned before, Express auto saves everything. So you could exit at any point from this design and it will save it. So there isn't a save button because again, it's just auto saving all the time. But let's say we're done, finish the design, we're ready to take it out of Express. You can go into download, and this is where you can export the project, put it on your computer, maybe put it on your phone, right? Because I'm ready to post it on Instagram. You have some options here. This is a multi-page document, right? I added that other post template. So you could choose whether you just want to download the selected page that you're on right now or all the pages in your design. And we have some file format options. And Express kind of is trying to help us out a little bit. They'll tell you which file type is best for whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I might choose to download this as a PNG. It will automatically put it in your downloads folder on your computer, and then you can quickly move it wherever it is that you need to save it on your desktop. So again, that is all in the download section. Just next to it is the share section, which is similar but a little different in what it will let you do. If it will open for me. There we go. So in the share section, you could share your design specifically with other people. So I could put in the email of someone that I want to send this design to. That would allow them to view it. You also can choose to save whatever you created as a template for yourself. Like maybe you've set up a social media post that you want to use for all of your events. You could save it in, I believe it would save in the Your Stuff folder as a template, so that's useful. You can choose to publish it online, which will create a live URL that you could then share with people, put on your LinkedIn page or put on social media or put on a website, and it will, when people click on it, they'd be able to view your design online. So lots of useful options in the share section there. I see a question about changing the type of project you're working on. So this is fantastic timing because this is a feature that I usually save for the end. So the question was, you make an Instagram post and you've spent all this time making it, but then you realize, actually, I want to put this on Facebook. I don't want the Instagram post. So is there a way to convert the document into a different type of project? Yes, there is. And it's another one of the things I love about Express. So we're here in the design. This is the Instagram post, and I'm realizing I want to post it on Instagram, but I also want to post it on Facebook. I want to be posting on 2 platforms. So what you're going to do is look for the resize button in the white header bar. And the resize section is awesome because it will allow you to change the dimensions of your project and completely turn it into a different kind of file. So for example, actually, I'll do an Instagram story. I put this on my Instagram wall, on the post wall, but I also want to have a story version, which is different dimensions. So I'm going to select that I want to change it to a story. And you can choose to resize the file you've been working on, or you can duplicate it and resize, which is what I like to do, because that will give you 2 versions of the same file. So it's added a page to the project here. We have the square post. Now we have the story version. Let's look at that. I'm going to click the little X here to get out of page view. It hasn't done a perfect job as far as the sizing goes, but you can see that it's moved all of our elements over. So now it's not too hard for me to quickly resize this as I want, as needed, to recreate this post for an Instagram story. So not perfect. You'll have to do, some light editing to get it exactly the way you want it, but way faster than you having to completely start over, right? Because if I had gone back from scratch to recreate a story that matched this, that would have taken a ton of time. So definitely use that resize tool. It's super useful, and you can resize from pretty much any item into another item. Super helpful for social media, any sort of like marketing or promotional materials you're making. Super fantastic. Another magic button is the theme button right next to resize. The theme button allows you to quickly control the colors of your entire design at once. I'll use it on this little post that I made. Because I put a photo background in and now the new colors don't match, and I was having a hard time kind of trying to find colors that would look well with it. So if you go into the theme section, now I could click into each of these items, right, and change the color myself, but that takes a lot of time, and also it can be hard to pick colors that look nice together. So what I could do instead is if I open up the theme option, I can choose a color theme for the post. For example, I'm going to look for something that's going to match this background photo because it won't change the colors of any photos in your design. I kind of like the look of this neutral palette here, so I'm going to select it. And it automatically applies it to text, shapes, icons. It will automatically change those colors. And you'll notice it didn't do a great job because this text here, it made the same color as the background. But what you can do is, here in the color theme section, I selected the theme, and up at the top, it shows me the theme now of my page, and I can actually shuffle these colors, and it will shuffle them for me. I don't know why. Okay. It's not doing an amazing job right now because it's making this text the same color as the background shape. So again, I mean, maybe it doesn't work perfectly. But for example, I have this close to where I want it, right? But maybe I need to change the color here of this title. The other nice thing that Express will do, I've clicked on the title here, and I opened up the text edit menu. I'm going to go to change the color. And in the swatches section, it has actually put in that theme that I chose. So all the colors are right here for that theme, and I could quickly select one of them to change it to. So, I mean, it didn't work as perfectly as I wanted it to. It can be a little clunky still. But if you want to have fun with color, if you're having a hard time picking out colors, that theme button is super useful. There's tons of other things in here I want to show you guys, but I'm way over the 45 minutes I said I was going to give you guys for a tour. And I want to talk about CMU branding and colors now. So unless there are any quick questions before we leave the workspace, I'm going to transition to that part of the workshop. Feel free to keep exploring. There's tons of useful tools in here. But let's, for now, go back to the home page. So we're in the workspace, and you can always get back to home by clicking on the rainbow Adobe logo in the top left corner. Again, it auto saves everything, so I didn't have to hit save, right? And now at the bottom of my screen in the recent projects bar, I can see that post I was just working on. So Express is always doing its magic, saving in the background. So many of us are here because we are planning on potentially using this tool as a part of our jobs. If you work for CMU, this tool could have many uses. Even if you're a student, you might be part of CMU organizations or clubs or an RSO, and you might want to create content that has the CMU branding. So you might have noticed earlier that there is a tab here to build a brand within Express. I'm going to go into that section now. I was on the home page and I clicked on brands, the left side of the page. And you can create your own brand. This is a super useful feature, whether you're creating for CMU or not. Maybe you have a side hustle. Maybe you have like a side business that has a logo and colors and things. Maybe you're trying to build that for yourself. Express has everything you need to kind of create a brand within the tool. And you can choose fonts for your brand. You can upload logos. You can choose colors, right? And it lets you build something that you can then apply to any designs you've created. So it's a super useful feature. There are lots of potential uses. And of course, if you're wanting to create something for CMU, it can be a wonderful way to kind of create this folder of all of the different elements that you would need to create CMU content. Now, before you go and create a brand and build it all yourself, because you would have to add all the fonts, upload all of the little like CMU design chevrons and circles and all of that, the University of Communications office here at CMU has actually done all of that work for us and created a library of the CMU brand that you can add to your account in Express. So don't waste any time building a CMU brand today because I'm going to show you guys how to add it, and you'll have all of the stuff ready to go here in your account. So in order to do that, we are going to leave Express for a moment. So if you would like to add CMU branding to your Express account, make sure you follow these directions. We are going to open a new tab here on the internet, and we're going to go to UComm's website as part of CMU's website. You can just Google UComm CMISH, or if you're on CMU's website, you can search University of Communications, or I'm sorry, University Communications. So I Googled UComm CMISH. It's the first page. So this is UComm's website. And UComm, of course, has trainings on applying CMU branding. If you're going to be creating something for CMU, having knowledge of the brand and how to use and apply the brand responsibly is very, very important because this is the image of the university that you are taking on that responsibility when you're creating for the university. So there are a lot of important things to keep in mind. And UComm really wants you to be successful. They want you to have all the tools and resources you need to make that happen. So here on UComm's website, you will notice there is a section here on the brand guidelines. And this is where I'm going to have you guys go. Find it on the list, the menu, right on their homepage. We're going to go into the brand guidelines section. And there's all sorts of information in here. You can find, background on CMU's brand strategy, but you can also find sections on all of the logos, all of the CMU brand colors, fonts, and elements, different templates and downloads. So there's tons of stuff in here that's very useful. We are going to go into the colors, fonts, and elements section. So we clicked on brand guidelines. Now we're doing colors, fonts, and elements. Lots of clicking. We're going to go in again. I'm going to have you guys go into the graphic elements section. Feel free to explore this on your own. There's tons of useful information in here. But this is how you get to that library of CMU content. The other really useful thing about this website that UComm has created is that along with telling you about all of the brand elements, they've also given guidance on how those are meant to be used. So for example, you can see here that if you're wanting to incorporate the chevrons into your designs, you should never have more than 3 in a group together. You can't change the direction. Chevrons can only point to the right. They cannot point left. They should be used in primary or secondary colors. So you can find all sorts of helpful tips here. These are all part of the brand rules and how we can keep CMU's branding strong. But I'm going to scroll all the way down. And here at the bottom is this section on the Adobe Creative Cloud Library. And what I'm going to have you guys do, there's a couple different links here. I'm going to suggest that you click this button here to access CMU's Adobe Creative Library. When you click on that, it's going to take you to an Adobe page. This is the brand library that that UComm has created. It's called CMU Brand Assets. And there's tons of stuff in here. You'll notice there's all the brand colors, there's logos, there's like little pre-designed chevrons. There's tons of stuff. So what you're going to do is make sure that you're logged into your Adobe account through CMU. In the top right corner, you can click on the little account button. Make sure that you're logged in. And as long as you are, you're gonna create a copy. So when you click create a copy, it's gonna tell you that it's copying. It takes a minute. It can sometimes take like 2 to 5 minutes to copy everything over. So be patient. You'll notice like the little button is grayed out. So make sure you wait until it is copied. You'll see a little notification pop up at the bottom of the screen that says like the library has successfully copied or something like that. So hang tight. I'm going to show you guys the directions again of how we got here while you're waiting. So again, we're going to go to the UCOM website. You can Google UCOM with 2 M's, CMISH. We're going to go onto their University Communications web page. From the menu, you're going to go to Brand Guidelines. Inside Brand Guidelines, you're going to go into the Colors, Fonts, and Elements section. And then you're going to go into Graphic Elements. It's a lot of clicks. It's a little varied. That's why I cover it in the workshop. And in the Graphic Elements, if you scroll all the way down, you're going to access CMU's Adobe Creative Library. That will take you to this page, and you're going to hit Create a Copy. It looks like mine has copied over, so hopefully yours has as well. So now that you've created a copy, we are going to go back into Express. I'm going to show you how to find it. So we're in our Express account again. We're here on the home page. If you go into the Your Stuff section again, over here on the left, go into Your Stuff. Right now, we're looking at all of our files, but you'll notice at the top of the page, you can switch over into your libraries. And you should see the CMU Brand Assets library added to your library section. So that's where the brand lives. You created a copy of it, so that library has now been copied into your account. I've done this multiple times for the workshop, so I have a bunch of the same copy in here. So you can go into the library if you want to, again, look at all of the different design elements and things that are available to you now. UCOM even has created some sample social media templates that you can work from, some flyer and document templates. So there's lots of cool things in here. Now let's see what it would look like to actually design with these. So right now it lives in our library, but I want to design a social media post for CMU. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to open up down here in the recent section. I'm going to open up that social media post that we worked on together. So we're back in our post now, and I'll stay on this version. So I want to brand this now for CMU because this is a CMU workshop. What I am going to do is I have my menu options over on the left here, and there is a Your Stuff folder here on the left, just like how there's a Your Stuff on the home page. You're going to go into Your Stuff, and once again, you're going to go, instead of looking at your files, you're going to look at your libraries. And you can open that CMU Brand Assets library right here in your workspace. When you click on it, it will open the whole library. So we can see lots of colors in here. You see all the fonts. But when you keep scrolling, that's where you can find a bunch of the graphic elements and little design elements. So for example, you could add the chevrons, right? You can can add like a little fire up chips. You could add the CMU Action C logo. There's all those little fun graphic elements you can add to your post. Maybe I'll add this maroon. There we go. So you can add all those little graphic elements. Now we also want to update the colors of our text. We need to update the fonts, all of that jazz. So I've selected this brand, right? I've gone into this library here in my workspace. Let's see what happens if I go and click on this text that I want to edit. So I want to change this Adobe Workshop text. I want to change the color and I want to change the font. Let's start with the color. If I go into the color section, you should see the color palette for the brand preload into this section. And it's actually not doing it for me. Let me see if I can find it here. It usually pre-opens and you'll see, like, it would say CMU brand assets. I'm gonna go and find mine really quick. So you might have to click on this little sandwich menu, but you can find your brands in your libraries. You could go and open it, and now here are all those colors preloaded in here. I see someone saying they don't have that. So if you might want to refresh, that might be why it didn't happen. It didn't happen for me either, as you guys noticed. Do you see this little like sandwich button at all? Do you see something pop up, like a drop down that you can open? Yes, refresh the browser. We'll troubleshoot if it's not working. Again, I know it's a lot of steps, but if you can figure it out, it's very, very useful. Refresh the browser and tell me if that doesn't work. Hey, okay, it sounds like refreshing worked for at least one person. So if you're having the same problem, refresh your Express. So that was the color. So again, I have all these brand colors to choose from. What about the font? So I want to change the font. I'm going to go up to the font drop down. And again, I have this little drop down and I can select that brand. And here are all the fonts for that brand. They've automatically loaded in right at the top. And I can change this now to the Antarctican headline font, which is our kind of standard CMU header that is used quite often. And just like that, you can really quickly update your fonts. You can update your colors. And it's very easy to create with the brand. Again, apologies that it's a little clunky, not working perfectly. Adding CMU color to the background, great question. Yes, you can control your background color all at once by using the background color button at the top. And just like for everything else, you should see the brand colors default in that section. Now, in my case, I have a photo in here, and the photo has a background that is not the CMU gold. So what I might want to do with my design is, again, use that remove background feature because I want to keep the photo. I'll choose to remove the background. We'll see how this does. That did pretty good, even with the hair. And now I have the CMU gold showing, and then the little photo of the student on top. Super useful. The color theme button that I showed you guys before, unfortunately, there's no way to get the brand colors in here yet. Adobe is still building the brand features in here, so you might see these get added to in the usability and user experience will hopefully get a bit better. Because again, right now it is like a little clunky. But there are, different ways to, again, take advantage of the fact that you have this library in here now. Okay, I've been talking for a while now. I would love to open it up now for questions. If folks have like features they noticed, if you have questions about the brand, if you're having issues finding your brand library, I can have you share your screen. There's all sorts of different things. Can you delete in the Your Stuff section? Yes, you can. I'm assuming you're talking about, if I go back to the home page, Carrie, are you talking about deleting files out of like the Your Stuff folder?
Yes.
Yes, you can delete. If you go into Your Stuff, any project that you highlight over, you can hit the 3 dots, and from there you can do all sorts of things. You can delete it, you can duplicate it, you can rename it, you can share it with someone. So great question, lots of options in there. Sharon asked about creating web pages and how they're different. And I would be happy to show off that feature in here if folks are interested. I can also talk about the AI features in here. There's lots of things. So I'll spend the last 30 minutes kind of covering some of those. If you need to leave now, I will continue recording, and I'm going to, after the program ends, like the recording will process, and then I will email it out to all of you. If I'm not able to do that by the end of the day today, you will get it on Monday. So I will send you the recording later today or Monday. Thank you so much for coming. And if you ever need Adobe help, remember you can reach out to me. You can come to the Adobe Digital Lounge. We have an Adobe Digital Lounge email and a whole team you can reach out to. So if you ever have any questions about using these tools, take advantage of the resources and support you have available for you here at CMU. You're like trying to figure out something to do, you can Teams me. People do that all the time. So please reach out if you're ever trying to figure out how to do something. And thank you for coming. And for folks who want to stick around, let's look at web pages. So sometimes the web page will show up on the home page, like in the suggested section, but you can always find it by, again, using that purple plus sign and view all. And the web page is located all the way at the bottom in this blog and website section. You can also type into the search bar if you're looking for it and select from there. So when we go to create a web page, you will notice our workspace looks a little different. So instead of like seeing our canvas and having all of those edit buttons, instead you're going to see a screen like this. And quick disclaimer about web pages in Express. So it is called a web page, not a website. And the reason that is because a website, of course, is an online site with multiple tabs, multiple menu options that you can click on, and it will take you through different pages, right, of that website. Here in Express, you can create a web page. So it is a single top-down page that you can then publish digitally to the web. So there are some constraints on it as a tool. Also, there are some limitations of how you can design your web page because Express really wants whatever it is that you create. Express wants it to look dynamic, to look professional, and also for users to have a good experience while they're interacting with it. And when it comes to web design, there are a lot of principles and parts of web design that web designers have to keep in mind in order to create sites that are useful, that are accessible, that are engaging, right? So in the workspace here in Express, there's a limited number of things we can do to our web page because they want your web page to look polished and for users to be able to use it well, regardless of what your experience is with web design. So all of that to say, let me just quickly show you what it would look like to create a web page. So again, this is kind of a top-down item that we're creating. We're starting at the top with a title. So I'll put in some cheesy content here. You can click onto the title text to type into it. You can click into the subheader text to type into it. Right now we have this big gray background, and when you click on it, you can choose to add a photo. Again, you could upload your own photo, or you can use some of the many photos that are here in Express. So let me think. Maybe I want to create a website commemorating my recent trip to Alaska, so I might search for some Alaska photos. I have my own photos, but we'll just use Expresses for now. All right, so now we have a title, we have a subtitle, we have background. As you scroll down this web page, you will see the little menu box pop up here with all the things that you can add to continue building. You can add more photos, you can add text. You can add hyperlink buttons that link out to other websites. You can add GIFs, you can add videos embedded in the web page, and we have some layout options to make our website look more interesting. So I'm going to start with text, and maybe I want to have like an introductory section. So I'm going to have an introduction and then okay, so we put some text in. In order to edit the text, after you've typed it in, you're going to click on it again, and you get a text edit menu. And you will notice there are far less text editing options here in the web page than we had in our normal workspace. For example, like where is the font button to change the font? And where's the font size option to change the font? So this is part of, again, kind of like the limitations on the web page. So you have 3 font choices and 3 size choices. And the choices are body paragraph or paragraph text and font, which is what it is right now. Oh, header 1. So this is the largest. Or header 2, which is the second largest. So I'm going to make this a header 1, my largest text. Then I will center it. You have some other options in here. If it's paragraph text, you can choose to bold it. You can italicize. You can also link individual words or text. Limited options, right? And again, this is because Express wants you to create something that is successful regardless of your background with web design. I don't have time to demo the whole thing, but basically you just keep going top down. You can add in photos to the web page itself. And anytime you want to edit something or explore the edit options, just click on it and you will notice like kind of the different options you have there. You can make your image fill the whole screen, for example, or maybe you want it to just show up as like what they call a window, which is like a long strip. So click around, explore, keep adding items. It's lots of fun to play around with. Maybe I'll put in like the dates of my trip. So So this is an example of how to use the tool for like personal use, but I have used the web page tool here in Express to design kind of like pseudo presentations that I use to lead the workshops that I offer. So if you want, I could show you an example of one that I've created to use when I teach. I've seen faculty use this to like present research that they've done, or a recent project. I've seen faculty use it to create a syllabus, like a digital version of their syllabus for their students. So there are all sorts of different ways you could use it. The library creates web pages of like informational content that we will link on social media posts, or like if we have flyers and we're at an event, we'll have a flyer with a QR code on it that takes students to this informational web page. So lots of different uses. I guess before I show you an example of one that I've created, I'll show you how to publish it when you're done. Okay, Sharon's saying you can't get text on the page. So what you're going to do is if you scroll all the way down, you should see this box of options show up. You click text and it will automatically give you a text cursor, and then you should be able to type. So hopefully that works for you. And then after you type, then you can click on it and edit it and change like the size, change the alignment. So let me know if that worked for you, Sharon. You can also add in text anywhere on the page by clicking the little plus. Okay, it's not appearing on the page. We might have to troubleshoot that one for you. The web pages can be a little glitchy sometimes too, depending on your internet connection. So it might be worth refreshing your browser and see if that helps, or potentially switching to a different browser. But we can definitely troubleshoot that more if needed. Okay, so just really quick, if you were done with a website and you're ready to make it live, you go up to the top and you're going to click Share. And from there, you can publish it to the web. And if you want, you can put in title. Your name will be assigned as the author. And then when you create the link, Express will automatically create a live URL for you. This is a custom URL that will take users directly to your web page. You cannot edit the URL. So that's a downside, right? Like you can't, at least not here in Express, you can't get your own domain name or anything like that. So it's kind of a longish link, but now that it's published, I'm going to copy it and post in a new page so you guys can see what it would look like. Since it's not necessarily like a user-friendly URL, there are different things you can do to get around this. You can link it with different text. You can use the QR code option, right? If you're going to have a flyer and you want people to be taken to this page, you could use a QR code. You could use shorturl.com to create like a shorter version. As far as putting it into a hosting service like WordPress, I'm not sure at this stage if you can do that with Express web pages. I will say if you are interested in creating web pages and websites, what might be a better tool for you is Canva, which is another online design tool. If you've ever used Canva before, you may have noticed that Express looks pretty similar. Express and Canva are like competitors, so they look very similar. And Canva's web page and website publishing options are more advanced than Express's at this point. Correct, Express is like the host. That's like a hosting service that you can create an unlimited amount of free web pages with. However, there are some cons, right? Like the URL. Canva, you can do far more. You can purchase a custom domain name. You can do a variety of different things with Canva. However, Canva only lets you do up to 5 free ones, like what Express lets you do. Express lets you do unlimited. So use with that knowledge what you will. As far as this being through CMU and not wanting to do personal stuff, I mean, it's through CMU, but there are no requirements on our license that mean you can't use this personally. So I use it personally all the time, and most of the people I know who use it often, there are lots of personal uses for it. Now, maybe, you know, I shouldn't spend 4 hours of my workday like designing an invitation in here or something for my personal life. But this account is separate from your CMU account. There's no way for anyone else to access any of the content inside of it. So that you don't need to be worried about like privacy concerns or anything like that. It's your own personal locked down Adobe account. And the free access that you have to it is through CMU, through the fact that we're a creative campus. But it doesn't have to be for work use only or for educational use only. If you're a student, you can use this personally all day long. But of course, you know, at your own discretion, whatever you